Sorry. What's up, lovely ladies? I didn't see that little red light of us going live. Dr. Emily Kiberd here, Inside Thyroid Strong Group. You're here because you probably have Hashimoto's and you are frustrated and you don't know what to do about your symptoms. I too have Hashimoto's, currently in remission, and I share in this group answers to your questions because you ask questions to join the group, some of your 3 biggest struggles. And so I take those questions and I answer them live so that you can get answers. Normally I have them typed up and dropped in. I didn't have time for that today because I'm prepping for the Thyroid Revolution. What? The Thyroid Revolution is my 5-day free. That's right. Free. What's the catch? Nothing. It's free. Workout / masterclass. It is a live virtual event that you can join for free. So if you want to come, sign up. You go to, let me drop the link, dremilykiberd.com/rev to sign up for the Thyroid Revolution. So I've been prepping for this in terms of the masterclasses. The masterclass on Monday is called How to Eat to Lose Weight with Hashimoto's. Probably the number 1 question I get. And then the second masterclass is not the most common question I get. It is how to identify root causes contributing to your Hashimoto's flare-up or symptoms or trigger. So if you don't know this, and maybe you've just gone to a conventional medicine doctor, primary care, endocrinologist, the path is get a diagnosis, hopefully sooner than later, and get medication, check back in 6 to 12 months, and maybe work out more, eat less to lose weight, and that is the recommendation. But the Hashi diagnosis is a trifecta, if you don't know this. And it is, let me see if I can share it on my screen. I'm going to try and pull it up. Give me 1 sec. It is a trifecta, and this was shared not by me, but by Dr. Alessio back probably 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And these 3 things create the trigger for the Hashimoto's. And I share this because a lot of us think, oh, it's just our genetics. That's what it is. We have to live with it. That's how it goes. And I think there are things, dial movers that you can shift to start to change that piece. So one of the dial movers is, let me see if I can add this photo. Give me 1 sec. Is gut permeability, hyperpermeability. Hello, right in my face. Let me put it over here. Okay, so one piece is the genetics. This is typically the piece that conventional medicine will address. And that is that you have the genetics, your mom has it, your sister has it, you have to live with it, and that's how it goes. And I want to share that, yes, you have the genetics, it loads the gun, but then the environment pulls the trigger. So the other 2 pieces of this kind of Hashimoto's trigger trifecta, I did a solo podcast shorty on this yesterday. So go ahead, check it out. It's literally called Triggers of Hashimoto's, The Perfect Storm. Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And the second 2 pieces are leaky gut, also known as intestinal hyperpermeability. So if you think about the gut villi in your gut lining, hold on, I'm trying to find my camera, like here, and there's grout in between. Think of it as bricks with grout. When there is some sort of stressor, right, and this is the third piece, like mold, mycotoxins, parasites, physiological stress, overtraining, drinking alcohol is a stressor, the junctions will widen, and then things that pass through the gut into the bloodstream that should not pass, then pass through, like undigested chunks of food, viruses, bacteria, fungi, and those things get into the bloodstream. And then your body is like, whoa, there are things in the bloodstream that shouldn't be there. Let's go attack. And so now it creates this chronic cycle of inflammation because your body is creating antibodies to attack the things that are in your bloodstream that shouldn't be there. And so part of this trifecta is healing the gut. Part of the trifecta trigger is leaky gut, which we're going to talk about next week in this masterclass. If you want to join, it's called the Thyroid Revolution. Let me share it here. There's a link. And the third piece of this trigger trifecta are stressors. It can literally be emotional stress, I wouldn't say that's the only one. The other pieces are trauma, like, twisting an ankle, breaking a leg. It could be physical trauma, emotional trauma, overtraining, which we talk a lot about inside Thyroid Strong. Like, hello, don't overtrain. Do it right. Do it Thyroid Strong way, which I'll share next week in this Thyroid Revolution, is, how to train with Hashimoto's. But then other stressors that we're going to talk about next week in the masterclass on Thursday are mold, mycotoxins, which are byproducts of mold, which are actually like so much smaller than mold and are actually breathed in or absorbed through the skin. You can't see them. Parasites. And if you have traveled to developing countries, you possibly have parasites, but it's not the only place. You can literally get them in the States. All you need is one person to wipe their butt with their hand, get some poop on there, not wash their hands properly, and make your food. And then you get takeout or delivery in a restaurant. And you can get parasites, hookworm, roundworm, pinworms, you name it. If you ever went hiking as a kid and drank stream water and just put some iodine in, like I did, Giardia could be a big one. Heavy metal toxicity, endocrine disruptors. What are endocrine disruptors? Chemicals on our food, like glyphosate, pesticides, things sprayed on our furniture, like fire retardant and that off gases, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, chemicals in our skin products and our hair products. So I'm going to share these, how to identify if they're affecting you, how to identify them, test them in your body, which like no one really talks about. They just say like, figure out if there's pesticides in your body. Well, how do you do that? I'm going to share how to do that, as well as how to start to detox from those. So that's going to be one masterclass. The other masterclass is going to be on how to eat to lose weight with Hashimoto's. So this is what I'm sharing because this is what I wish I knew in the beginning of my Hashimoto's journey, as well as workouts. There's 5 days of workouts. I don't work out 5 days a week, so don't worry. 2 of those workouts are recovery workouts, are dialing down the nervous system. They are calming the nervous system. So you could show up for one of these lives. You could show up for none. You could show up for all of them. If you show up for all lives, you get entered to put into a raffle to win a walking pad. Hello. That little like treadmill desk thing. It's my favorite one. It folds up in half. It's about $550. If you show up for all the lives, you get entered into a raffle to win that, or a kettlebell from Kettlebell Kings, my favorite kettlebell company, up to 16 kilos, or a Thyroid Strong, access to Thyroid Strong. So might as well show up live, right? Don't worry. If you can't show up live, the recording will be sent afterwards. So you can still do the workout and experience, or like just dip your toes into what a Thyroid Strong workout looks like. But I just wanted to share this, and I'm going to answer some questions. So this is the Hashimoto's trigger trifecta: genetics, leaky gut, stressors. And you can't really affect your genetics, but you can affect the other 2. And so I encourage women to start to explore those, because you could literally do things in your day-to-day, in your choices and how you move through the world to minimize these stressors. So I wanted to share that because, conventional medicine doesn't talk about this. And I'm going to answer 2 questions that came in today. I didn't have time to put it up as type on the screen, but let me find them. Hashimoto's, will this affect my life in the future? It can. Symptoms could get worse, as well as once you are diagnosed with one autoimmune condition, the likelihood of getting diagnosed with a second is much higher. Other autoimmune conditions would be lupus, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, in men, more so like ankylosing spondylitis. But typically, if you're diagnosed with one autoimmune condition, the potential to get diagnosed with a second is higher. You don't want that. Is this something that can lay dormant? Yes, you can have the genetics for Hashimoto's. Your mother, your sister has it. Your mother has passed the genes on to you. It can even show up in men in like a different form, like POTS or type 1 diabetes. It's just a passing of the genes that load the gun. I'm sure you've heard this, but then the environment, leaky gut, stressors, environmental toxins, overtraining, pull the trigger. So it could lay dormant. And this was my situation. I had the genetics, But then I was living in a moldy apartment. I went through a bad breakup. I was eating gluten, like pounding gluten. I was under eating. I was overtraining. All these environmental factors can then contribute to the pulling of the trigger and activating the symptoms and activating the autoimmune condition. Will this turn into hypothyroidism? So typically, hypothyroidism is one of the components to get diagnosed. And someone asked this, so I'll answer this question as well, is like, how is hypothyroidism different than Hashimoto's? Hypothyroidism just means there's an underactive thyroid. Your TSH is elevated. In conventional medicine, above 5. In functional medicine, above 2.5. For some functional medicine doctors, it is between 1.8 to 2 is kind of the high end of TSH. And, so just underactive thyroid. Hashimoto's is the autoimmune version of that. So there's an underactive thyroid, but then there's an immune system activation component. You're having histamine intolerance. You feel like you're kind of allergic to everything. You have gut bloating, distension, gut dysbiosis, leaky gut, along with all the symptoms. And then there's a presence of thyroid antibodies. So that is basically the presence of antibodies attacking a foreign, attacking your thyroid as if it is something foreign, even though it's not. So that is the autoimmune component that then turns hypothyroidism into Hashimoto's. You could have Hashimoto's without potentially having presence of thyroid antibodies. Dr. Amy Horniman talks about that. So, the best way is to get tested and to get laboratory testing to get clarity on what's going on in the body. The second piece, hold on, let me review the question. The second piece is to get diagnosed early. So if you get diagnosed early, you could pull these dial movers that I shared in that post with environmental triggers to decrease the load on your system, the inflammatory load, and potentially put your Hashimoto's into remission. Okay, here's the second question I wanted to answer, and then I have to jump off because I have to jump on a call, is how do I deal with food sensitivities and make meals for others that are not food restricted? Well, in my house, the rest of my house eats my food because I also don't want my kids exposed to gluten, dairy, corn, soy. So I cook and the family eats what I eat. In terms of food sensitivities, do an elimination diet for 6 weeks. Do a reintroduction of each one for 3 days. You might have dairy on day 1 and then not have a reaction to it till day 3 because it takes that long for the immune system to have an IgG or an IgA immune reaction. And so with food sensitivities, do a reintroduction phase after elimination diet to identify the triggers. Do one by one, each one for 3 days individually. And then it's like, okay, these are my triggers. I'm going to cut them out for right now. This is not forever. And then you're going to start to heal your gut through a gut healing protocol, identify any sort of bacterial or fungal overgrowth, mold exposure, something that's creating this leaky gut, and then start to heal the gut. I like a combination of a prebiotic and probiotic approach. A prebiotic is the food for the probiotics. And then I would reintroduce and retry foods. So I'll share my experience. I originally could not eat gluten, corn, soy, dairy, and high histamine foods. These would include berries, spinach, bananas. I loved guacamole, couldn't eat guacamole. Healed my gut, dealt with some mold, dealt with a parasite, and now I can eat guacamole to my heart's delight, and I don't get a food sensitivity reaction. I don't eat gluten. I do eat dairy. I eat corn sparingly, maybe once a month, and I don't eat soy. Will eating right and not draining myself with cardio exercise be enough to fix my thyroid issues, even if I'm perimenopausal? It will probably move the dial movers in terms of feeling better with your symptoms, but it's not going to be the total fix. You might need medication. You might need hormone replacement therapy. You might need, just changing food is not enough. Changing food and kind of letting go of cardio is like one step better. But I would start to kind of figure out, okay, do I have adrenal insufficiency? Do I have some underlying gut infections? H. pylori goes hand in hand oftentimes with Hashimoto's. Do I have something else going on that's adding load to the body? Do I have a bunch of metal amalgams in my mouth that are off-gassing mercury, and I'm having a little bit of mercury exposure? So, and this is what we're going to talk about in the masterclass on Thursday, is like how to identify the different root causes and which ones are applicable to you. So if you want to come to the masterclass, join right here. Thyroid Revolution, 5 workouts, 2 masterclasses, and it's going to be great. I'm actually reviewing my slides today, which is super fun. And it's free. It's free. Like people like, I got a DM like, what's the catch? There's no catch. Just, I want to share the information because, not enough women are working out properly. A lot of women are overtraining. A lot of women are deconditioned and not training enough. And a lot of women are just on medication and not dealing with these other two factors, the leaky gut and the stressors. And that's what we're going to talk about. All right, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you in the Thyroid Revolution. We start Monday, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I don't know in the other countries, but find a time zone converter. And then the masterclass, the first one is on Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Everything's recorded. You'll get the recording for about a week. So you can kind of play and dabble in like, okay, what is a Thyroid Strong workout and what is a Thyroid Strong lifestyle? All right, ladies, I'll see you next week. Join the Thyroid Revolution. It's free. It is everything I wish I knew at the beginning of my Hashimoto's journey. All right. See you next week, ladies. Bye.